Welcome into this special edition of Fox 8 News, where we're going to take you inside the life journey of former Saints player Steve Gleason. This is a rare and raw personal glimpse at a football hero and father now struggling to survive. Steve is a man whose life has always revolved around inspiring others. First, it was through his athletic triumphs on the football field. And now, in a twist he and his wife never imagined, it's through teaching others to live with purpose, regardless of the obstacles.
A little bit less windy than the other day, Steve-O.
For Steve and Michelle Gleason, not many things are simple or easy anymore, but the little moments do bring more joy than ever.
So we got married on this bridge.
Like being able to walk literally down memory lane, even if the steps are slow.
Enjoy the day.
Gleason's name is now synonymous with the Saints' post-Katrina homecoming, a battle against Atlanta that played out in front of a world questioning whether New Orleans could rebound from utter devastation.
I remember, I don't think I've ever felt this way before, but you could feel the energy of the crowd, and you could feel the team's energy, and you could see the other team, the Atlanta's energy. And I just remember thinking in my head, like, there's no way that we could lose this game.
Gleason took the first step to ensure that.
Look out, right through! A kick block by Steve Gleason!
The people of the city of New Orleans inspired us to win that game because they had already committed to coming home. Whereas, that play in that game were a way for us to share that commitment to the world.
He did something pretty much bigger than you can even dream to do, and inspired a city. Starting from that place until now, he's going to inspire people for his whole life.
Steve retired from football in 2008, married Michelle Varisco, and the two departed on a 6-month multi-country honeymoon that brought them to destinations like Indonesia, Nepal, New Zealand. This was adventure-style traveling, living out of campers and backpacks, no hotels or room service.
We'd bathe in rivers.
6 months we were with each other for literally 24/7.
And we ended up still liking each other. Luckily.
Back in New Orleans, Steve began clean energy consulting and the pursuit of his MBA. The couple also began trying to have a baby. At the end of 2010, the Gleasons still weren't pregnant, and Steve was experiencing odd sensations.
I started feeling these muscle twitches in my arms.
During a visit for treatment on his knee to address an old football injury, Steve asked his physical therapist to take a look.
I could see it, the muscle fasciculations that he was having in the right side of his chest and into his arm.
You could visibly see it.
You could visibly see it, right. When I saw it, I had a little bit of a sinking feeling in my stomach, hoping and praying that it wasn't.
What Hernandez saw were muscle flutters. Steve's right hand was also much weaker than his left. It took months of tests before suspicions were confirmed. Steve Gleason, the football hero, was now Steve Gleason, the ALS patient. Someone suffering from a disease with no cure that would slowly rob his muscles of the ability to function, but leave his brain intact, fully aware it was trapped.
I want to throw a temper tantrum like some 3-year-old kid, or just punch somebody in the face, or get punched in the face, or something.
This guy doesn't know what Steve's like. He can give us this diagnosis, but we're going to prove him wrong. And Steve's a superhero to me. This is not going to happen to him.
As the Gleasons processed the news, they drafted a game plan for their future. An easy starting point, the couple wanted to embark on one last big adventure. But then there was also the issue of how Steve's diagnosis affected their quest to get pregnant.
More than ever, I want to have a child. But this is your decision, because you might be taking care of 2 people instead of just 1.
Did you have any hesitations?
No, I had no reservations. I mean, I knew that I wanted to baby with him no matter what. So, and look at him. So I made a good decision.
Steve and Michelle opted for in vitro fertilization, but because of Steve's expedited timeline, the pregnancy coincided with their adventure trip. A pregnant Michelle and Steve took off to live in Alaska for several months, living out of a camper with no restroom. Michelle, from 4 to 7 months, slept on the camper seat-turned bed and hiked into the woods in the dark when nature called.
4 to 5 times a night. Very annoying living in a camper van, being pregnant.
This is also where the couple decided Steve should tape video journals for his child, just in case. Things a father would want to teach in his own way. Everything from how to skip rocks.
This is a perfect place to learn how to skip rocks because this beach on the entire lake has a bunch of really flat rocks that are really sweet for skipping. So you'll learn how to throw, and hopefully I'll be able to teach you some of that too. But when you're skipping rocks, it's a different kind of throw. It's a real sidearm throw.
To dating, drugs, and ALS.
I've lost a lot of things. I've lost a lot of muscle. I've lost some ability to do certain things.
The Gleasons returned to New Orleans in time for the baby to arrive, which was another adventure of a different sort.
I'm packing everything. I'm driving while I'm having contractions.
You drove yourself?
Well, Steve can't drive.
I talked with actually talked with Drew, and he's like, dude, you have to deliver the baby. It's the coolest thing ever. So I was like, all right.
I grabbed the camera in the middle of it and started videoing Steve. He, from the head, came out and Steve helped pull it out. The doc was like, it's a boy. And Steve's like, that's my boy. And it was awesome.
As Steve's ALS progresses,
1, 2, 3, go.
Michelle pulls double duty as a caretaker for both her infant son and her husband.
I'd be done if it wasn't for a period.
You slowly learn as it progresses. You kind of slowly learn how to cope with it. Because if you really knew at that moment, I don't think you could cope.
Do you ever get scared now?
Sure. I think I'm scared to do this interview. Yeah. Everybody gets scared, you know. But I think the best people are the people that, you know, kind of admit they're scared, are honest about their fear, and then, like we said, they'll do it anyway.
The Gleasons live literally by the slogan, "No white flags."
Yeah, you're ready, man.
Although it's not the life they pictured, this is the life the Gleasons now own and live to the fullest every day. Steve calls the concept infinite joy, even if it's accomplished one small step at a time. Michelle says there is one particular moment in life where she was the embodiment of infinite joy. Coming up, Steve and Michelle take us inside a snapshot in time the entire Gulf Coast can identify with. The blocked punt that said what words couldn't, to a nation questioning whether New Orleans could come back from Hurricane Katrina. Steve Gleason, No White Flags will continue in just a moment. The memory of Steve Gleason's blocked punt during the Saints' post-Katrina homecoming is an image forever etched into the minds of many. Tonight, Steve walks us through that game in intimate detail, the emotion, the ironic preparation for the play, and whether the game he loves triggered his battle to survive. It's a version of New Orleans many try to forget. A tattered city struggling to dry out and rise up from Mother Nature's fury. The home of the Saints became a global symbol of the man-made horrors that followed in Katrina's wake. September 2006. As New Orleans was teetering to its feet, Monday Night Football's spotlight shone down on the Saints' return to the Dome. This was one of the world's first glimpses into New Orleans' recovery.
The whole night for everyone was so emotional.
For locals like Michelle, this was the chance to answer the questions and quell the doubts.
It was exciting to show to the world that we were back. You know, New Orleans is back and going to start over and be even better.
Back then, Drew Brees and Sean Payton were newcomers, not icons. The Friday before the game, Payton moved practice inside the Dome and played a special video for his team.
What had happened in the Superdome, and showed a bunch of the current players who were on the team in 2005 with some of the stuff we had helped with.
Monday night, September 25th, 2006.
There was a lot of emotion that night. There was guys crying, you know. Guys who were on that 05 team were crying because the Dome, what we'd gone through the year before and where we'd come just to be back in the Dome.
It was awesome. I mean, I was crying from the very beginning of the game, and when that happened, he always says infinite joy, but I don't think I've ever been so happy with the people around me. It was awesome.
For Steve, defeat wasn't an option.
Look out, right through! A pick block by Steve Gleason!
That was my job. And so this play was designed specifically for B to block the punt.
Ironically, when Gleason and the Saints had practiced the play that Friday in the Dome.
So literally, it was like on the same yard line that ended up happening.
Steve immediately grasped the significance of the moment.
That was kind of the symbol of what had already happened. Some of what had already happened. The people that had chosen to come back to the city, they made the choice months prior to that game. We were able to tell the whole world that those people had committed themselves back to the city.
Just 6 years later, Steve looks very different than that gridiron hero who inspired a region. Football and the injuries that accompany the game are now part of the conversation, but not the headline for Steve, when he ponders why he's now battling a terminal disease with no cure. Do you blame football at all for the ALS?
Brain diseases associated with the brain are more common in impact sports. There's really no denying that data. At the same time, since I've been diagnosed, I get to meet all these ALS patients, and just some of them are a 25-year-old girl who never played football ever. In fact, most of them are never played football. So I think the only thing that I blame is the disease itself.
Steve is sure professional football left him with one thing.
This is more than just football. This is about people and family and friendships too.
The Saints are a crucial support system for Steve, even though he retired in 2008. From fundraisers to therapy at the team facility to attending practices and games, Steve is often with the Saints.
Sounds stupid, but I was almost like, hey, when they win, I stay better.
For all the inspiration Steve gives, his team is now a source of motivation for him. And like never before, Steve knows what it means to be a Houdat.
It was the first time where I could really identify with the fans. I was like, wow, this is how fans feel when they want their team to win.
Steve says that understanding is just one of the many things he's learned and gained from his struggle with ALS. It's a battle for life that's left him with two new goals: to change the world for other ALS patients and to share his legacy with his son. Still to come on Steve Gleason, No White Flags. Steve takes us inside the incredibly personal video diaries he's been recording for Little Rivers. Steve Gleason lives his motto of no white flags out loud every day. He pushes himself to the physical and emotional limit because he has two missions to live for: to teach the world about everything ALS patients can do and to raise his miracle son.
Tell me when it's enough.
That's it right there.
Stretching can be painful. It's not comfortable to have someone stretch you when you're this tight.
Steve Gleason has carefully choreographed a game plan for how best to tackle ALS. He adheres to a strict health regimen that involves intense stretching to extend his muscles' function. He's also traveled the country researching alternative therapies.
When the doctor tells you there's no answers, I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep looking.
Steve has invested countless hours into discovering how science can help too, since his brain is the key to preserving quality of life.
Until there's a cure, in my mind, technology is a cure.
He's training right now to be able to use vision as his communication device, as well as his motor device. He'll use his eyes in order to work with a special pad that he's actually trained his voice to be inside of.
3 years after retiring from the NFL, I was diagnosed with ALS.
This is Steve's new synthetic voice.
I hope you like it, because you will be hearing from me for decades to come. No white flags.
I've been diagnosed with ALS, but I'm choosing to live with disease and live with passion, live with intention, live with purpose. To celebrate 1 year post-diagnosis, I'm going skydiving with my friends and my family.
Yeah, baby. Do this. You ready? I'm ready.
Steve often uses the word purpose now. Part of his purpose is Team Gleason, the foundation he started to find a cure for ALS, to put technology into other patients' hands, and to inspire them.
People can choose to live.
Steve worries too many ALS patients give up because they feel trapped inside a body that's slowly failing.
People have hit challenging circumstances in life, and they're looking for a reason to get back up.
Team Gleason sponsors experiences for ALS patients like skydiving, but the adventures do come with a catch.
The requirement is we enlist them to help in the future. Then it gives them a purpose and something to live for. So it's kind of a pay-it-forward concept, I think.
Hold on one second, I'm gonna put you on speaker.
Besides now being a caretaker of two, Steve's wife, Michelle, is an integral part of Team Gleason.
So we've got so much love being poured into our lives that it's finally time for us to pour it back into someone else's life.
You have so much on your plate.
If he's going to be involved in something, I'm going to be involved in it too, because we like to do everything together.
Hey! Hi!
The other big purpose in Steve's life, his son Rivers.
So you'll learn how to throw, and hopefully I'll be able to teach you some of that too.
Steve started recording these video diaries while Michelle was pregnant to teach his child about everything from how to skip rocks.
So you want to get the rock as close to the water, the trajectory of the rock, which is the angle that the rock hits the water. You don't want it to come from really high to really low.
To much more intimate thoughts.
The reason I'm doing this is because I want to try to share as much of myself with you as I can. It's crazy, man. I haven't even met you in person, but I love you so much. And I don't think fathers say that enough. You're like a little me, and you have parts of me in your spirit, in your body, and your mind.
Thanks to technology, Steve is able to spend time parenting he might not otherwise have. From simple things like favorite memories.
The topic tonight is travel and adventure. In the north of Chile, there's a desert called the Atacama Desert. I believe there's never been recorded rainfall, ever. Weird, crazy, huh?
To the harsher lessons.
Man, there's gonna be times in your life that you're gonna struggle. Hopefully not that many times. Life can be crazy and difficult, but life is good. And I generally think that the attitude you take into life helps you get a lot more out of life. If you take a good attitude into life, life's gonna treat you well. It's my hope that these videos, one, can reassure for you how much I love you, and two, somehow they can be supportive and you can glean something from them.
The Gleasons strive to find what Steve calls the infinite joy in every experience. But both do admit there are times that joy is elusive.
We still have our moments where we're like, this is horrible.
Right in the morning when I wake up and Steve has to say, Michelle, look at me for a second. It's gonna be okay, we're both tired, we didn't get a lot of sleep, but we're gonna have a great day.
A great day because there are more lessons to teach, more smiles to share, many more moments of infinite joy.
We've had a lot of tough days and nights in the last 365 days. We've cried a whole bunch, and but we've laughed as much or more than we've laughed in any other 365-day stretch. I've lost some ability to do certain things, touch my pinky, lift my hands, clap, snap. Part of me wants to not go outside or not talk with anyone, not walk anywhere. But I've gained the ability to say, hey, I'm kind of embarrassed about this, or I know I look funny, but I'm gonna do this anyway, and that is something that I never maybe never would have learned or gained without this diagnosis. So I think I've learned more than I've lost, and I've gained more than I've lost in the last 365 days. That's especially true ever since you showed up. I consider myself lucky on January 5th, 2012, 1 year post-diagnosis. Love and life. Get busy living.
Steve vows he will beat ALS. And when he does, this journey will hold tremendous purpose for others who battle ALS after him. Steve says he'll never stop searching for answers, never give up the fight. If you'd like to join Steve in his quest to defeat ALS, log on to our website, fox8live.com, and click on the link for Team Gleason. Thanks so much for joining us for this special presentation of Steve Gleason, No White Flags. We'll see you tomorrow, starting at 5 a.m.
Fox 8, the only Louisiana station honored with the 2011 Emmy for Station Excellence, is proudly locally owned.